At night on November 4th, leading into the early hours of November 5th, Nine-Star CEO Won released a lengthy 12-point public statement addressing a series of rumors and controversies that have surrounded the company, its artists, and herself over the past year. This marks her first official response following the ongoing drama involving FayeYoko and the boycott campaigns directed at Nine-Star. One opening. I've stayed silent for too long. Won admitted that throughout the past year, numerous false claims and misleading information have severely damaged the reputations of both the company and its artists, as well as her own. 2. Admitting internal management flaws. She openly acknowledged that Nine-Star had once operated under a family-style management model, lacking a professional recruitment and accountability system. 3. The Project 4E controversy and public apology. Won issued a formal apology to fans and industry partners for attending the lineup event without properly verifying project details, an action that led to public misunderstanding that Nine-Star would participate in Project 4E. In reality, no official meeting or contract signing ever took place. On February 5, 2025, Nine-Star decided to withdraw from the project, citing timeline conflicts and unsuitable working conditions. The withdrawal meeting included only 3 people: Won herself, 1 Nine-Star staff member, and 1 senior representative. 4. Clarifying the breakup of FayeYoko. The company had planned to produce an original series in Q3 2024, including script development and pre-production. Both artists also attended acting workshops in preparation for the project. However, differences arose between them regarding future collaboration. Despite our efforts to mediate and encourage continued cooperation, we ultimately decided to discontinue the project to prevent potential conflicts or negative impacts in the future. I affirm that the company never had any intention of causing harm to ourselves or the business by separating the pair. Such a decision resulted in significant financial and reputational loss for the company, far beyond expectation. I personally tried my utmost to encourage both artists to continue working together, but the accumulated and long-standing issues eventually made it impossible to proceed. 5. Faye's voluntary contract termination. According to Won, Faye personally requested to end her contract, citing different goals and creative directions. The company respected this decision and released the artist from the contract without any financial claims or penalties. Based on Won's statement in Section 4E and the claim that the FayeYoko rift began in Q3 2024, let's re-examine the real events that unfolded during that period. June 21, 2024, final episode of blank. According to Won's reasoning, right after the series ended, Faye and Yoko no longer wished to work together, and everything from July onward was merely fan service, staged interactions meant to maintain popularity and promote post-show events. July 3, 2024, Phuket. A clip surfaced showing Yoko kissing Faye's neck while filming a vlog. The private video was leaked by a Chinese staff member collaborating with Nine-Star, who was said to have been terminated. However, in 2025, news sources claimed that the person was never actually dismissed, only changed their Weibo username and continued working discreetly. If that second claim is true, then one must ask, was the July 3rd incident a staged fan service scene or a moment of genuine affection? August 2024, Yoko's birthday. The timing coincided with the passing of Faye's grandfather. Despite her training schedule, Yoko still traveled nearly 300 kilometers to attend the funeral and stood by Faye through the difficult days. At her birthday party, everyone hoped Faye would appear, something almost impossible then. Only a video message was shown. Yoko tearfully said, "I'll try my best to perform well today so I won't disappoint those who love me." If we continue with the everything was fan service theory, does that mean even this birthday event was scripted? Could the company truly use Faye's grief as a tool for fan engagement? August 28, 2024, Hong Kong fan meeting. The atmosphere was deeply emotional. When asked, "If today were the end of the world, what would you like to say to each other?" Faye replied, "Faye loves Yoko so much and you're the best." This happened in late August, the exact time when one claimed conflicts had already begun. So, was Faye's heartfelt declaration part of a planned fan meeting script, or did it reflect her true emotions? September 16, 2024, Singapore fan meeting. Yoko moved the audience to tears when she said, I remember everything about Faye. Every day I order a cup of coffee for her. I know exactly what she likes on normal days, work days, even on sunny days. If CEO Wan's statement is accurate that they had conflicts in differing directions since Q3 2024, then one must wonder, why would Yoko still speak with such warmth, care, and understanding towards someone she supposedly had a rift with? If this was merely fan service or a scripted act, then Yoko must have been an exceptionally skilled actress, capable of making thousands believe those emotions were real. Wan also claimed that 9star had planned to produce another FayeYoko drama project in Q3 2024, and that both actresses had even attended acting workshops together in preparation. However, according to her, due to personal conflicts and differences in career direction, they were unable to continue filming the second series together. But here's the puzzling part. If they supposedly couldn't cooperate in a drama project, how could they still appear side by side at fan meetings, photo shoots, live streams, and public events followed by thousands of fans? If they were professional enough to maintain chemistry and emotions on stage for work, why couldn't that same professionalism be applied on set, where everything is controlled and supported by the production team? Looking back at the key period of July, August, September 2024, anyone could see how Faye and Yoko continued to show genuine affection and care for each other, through every action, glance, and word. Those weren't the behaviors of two people in a relationship conflict as Wan described. If they truly had been at odds since Q3, as the CEO claimed, then FayeYoko must have been the finest actresses of all time, because they played their roles so flawlessly in real life. By early 2025, before the 4E project officially surfaced, Faye and Yoko held a joint fan meeting in Taipei, their final event together before parting ways. So, all those heartfelt moments captured by fans walking closely together, hugging in a supermarket, or exchanging warm looks on stage, were those just acts, as Wan insisted? Faye and Yoko even paid out of their own pockets to attend advanced acting classes, preparing for the 4E project. If they were truly in conflict, as Wan claimed, then why would they spend their time, energy, and money to improve skills for a project they supposedly no longer wished to do together? And if Faye really wanted to separate from Yoko, why didn't she terminate her contract back in Q3 2024, when the conflict allegedly began? Why did she have to wait until Wan prohibited their collaboration in 4E, refused to assign her any new work or appearances, and effectively blocked her entire career path, forcing her to leave the company? Even Mr. Nawat publicly confirmed that it was 9star who forbade Faye from joining 4E, while Wan denied responsibility, claiming there was no official contract yet, so the company had the right to withdraw. Wan also stated, "The company decided to decline participation after evaluating that the schedule and working conditions might not allow the artists to cooperate smoothly." But in reality at that time, 9star had no busy schedules and no major events. So what exactly was the conflicting schedule Wan was referring to? Was this merely a convenient excuse, a way to rationalize the narrative that the split happened because Faye and Yoko had professional and personal conflicts, while absolving Wan of any fault? And yet, in March 2025, during a press conference, Yoko broke down in tears before the media and said, "I love Faye and that's the truth." If what Wan said was true, that their conflict began in Q3 2024, then are we supposed to believe they somehow argued and fell back in love within just 3 months? And then, by the time 4E started, they suddenly stopped loving each other, which led to Faye's departure? The whole story sounds contradictory and illogical, almost like a scripted drama designed to manipulate public emotions. What's even more striking is that Wan herself once said during that same press conference, "I think both Faye and Yoko are professional. So, for the feelings that they had for each other, did not just happen lately. It had happened for a while. They still could work together during that time." So what's the truth here? If their feelings were real, then was the so-called conflict fabricated later? Or if the conflict was real, then were those feelings merely acting? Who's lying? And who, in the end, is the one being unprofessional? If FayeYoko were merely fan service, then were they such masterful performers that they could create a love so genuine it fooled everyone, only to break up instantly on cue? Or were they simply puppets, controlled by Wan, loving when told to love, separating when told to separate? Worse still, with this latest statement, Juan seems to be pushing Yoko into the line of fire once again. Because when Yoko once publicly confessed, "I love Faye," Juan's new claim that they had conflicts since Q3 effectively invalidates all the emotions Yoko ever expressed, making her appear unprofessional, as if she had pretended to love merely to calm public backlash. So what exactly is Juan trying to say? Is she implying that Yoko only pretended to love Faye, and that her heartfelt confession at the March press conference was just a PR stunt to placate fans? If that's the case, then this is no longer just an internal dispute, it becomes a manipulation of public emotions, turning love, trust, and fan support into mere tools for personal and corporate gain. And so, the story ends here, leaving everyone with their own interpretation. Some believe FayeYoko was nothing more than fan service, that they had conflicts, were never truly in love, and that every emotional moment was just a perfectly crafted performance to keep fans invested. If that's true, then the entire fandom was deceived, every tear shed, every heartbeat felt, every moment of belief was simply the result of a company's calculated media strategy. But others believe Faye and Yoko truly loved each other. They spent countless hours studying acting together, preparing for their second project with genuine passion and hope. Yet because Juan reportedly disliked Faye, she forced her to leave the company, cutting off all chances for the two to ever work together again. Another perspective suggests that Yoko never really loved Faye, that she stayed close to her purely for career reasons, knowing that the couple image made her more popular and well-known. When Faye left, Yoko remained at 9-Star and continued her work almost unaffected, because everything had always been part of a professional strategy. There are also those who think the opposite, that it was Faye who stopped loving Yoko, realizing they couldn't walk the same path forever. So she chose to leave the company, pursuing her own direction and personal growth. All these theories, whether true or false, love or performance, now rest in the eyes of the beholder. Every viewer, every fan will decide for themselves which version they choose to believe. As for the next chapter of this story, the untold details behind the scenes, I'll continue exploring them in the following part. At noon on November 9th, Faye officially held a press conference after a long period of silence, a time when she endured deep emotional pain and numerous false accusations from her former company. Earlier, in the early morning of November 5th, Juan, CEO of 9-Star, released a 12-point public statement on her personal page, claiming to clarify the issues that had been circulating. Among those, two key points stood out. 9-Star asserted that Faye and Yoko parted ways due to personal conflicts and could no longer work together, stating that their disagreements had started as early as Q3 2024. 2. The company claimed that its withdrawal from the FayeYoko project and Faye's departure were due to differences in career direction, promised to tell the whole truth, but chose silence at the March fan meeting. Before her Bangkok fan meeting at the end of March 2025, Faye went live on stream and said she would tell the whole truth during the upcoming press event with the media. However, on the day of the event, Faye never mentioned anything related to Yoko or 9-Star. Many believed Faye chose silence as an act of kindness, to avoid hurting anyone further or fueling new controversies. But after Juan's 12-point statement was published, one that shifted all the blame onto Faye and Yoko, Faye finally decided to speak up to defend herself, as those claims had severely affected her personal life and career. Faye, I once completely broke down, but now I'm strong enough to speak. First of all, good afternoon to all the reporters and members of the media. The story I'm about to share today has been going on for quite some time, and it has deeply affected both my work and the people around me. Today, I want to share my own perspective. I have to admit, I once completely collapsed, truly fell apart, but now I've become stronger and ready to speak out. On work, Faye continued, explaining her side clearly. Looking back, I can confidently say that I have always worked with sincerity and dedication toward my former company. All the partners I've collaborated with were professional and always supportive. Noam and I were also good partners. I really adore Noam. She's incredibly professional. We were always able to talk and solve any issues, whenever they arose. Everything went smoothly. We never had any problems at work. I'm confident that, no matter what happened, we always supported each other wholeheartedly, so there were no conflicts at all. She added, I truly believe we were always good partners. No matter what happened, we always held hands and worked together. Faye's statements make it clear that she and Yoko never had work-related disagreements, completely contradicting Juan's claim in the November 5th statement that they had conflicts and could no longer cooperate. Instead, Faye's words reveal that the two worked in harmony, understood each other deeply, and supported one another through every challenge, leaving no valid reason for the so-called split described by her former company. About the FayeYoko project. This is an issue that both fans and I have been wondering about for a long time. In reality, I was never officially informed whether I had been selected for the project or not. Some fans began to speculate based on symbols like sunflowers and balloons, and perhaps they had already grasped part of the meaning behind them. But honestly, I only knew as much as everyone else, no more, no less. I was never involved in any discussions between the company and senior production partners. Later, one of the producers called me and asked, "Why aren't you joining this project?" I replied, "No, that's not true. I really want to join." He said, "It's okay. There will be other chances for us to work together." Then another person called and asked, "Did the two of you argue to the point that you couldn't work together anymore, so the project got cancelled?" I can say with absolute certainty, that never happened. We never had any issues serious enough to prevent us from working together. I have always respected Noam, always praised her for her talent and professionalism. As for why things turned out this way, honestly, I don't know either. The only thing I can confirm is that I truly wanted to be part of the FayeYoko project. The call with Faye. Today, with the help of a senior member from the FayeYoko team, I will make a direct phone call to clarify everything. Hello everyone present here. When I decided to invest in the 4 Elements project, I had already planned for Faye to participate. However, later on, the owner of Faye's company informed us that they wanted to withdraw her from the project. The reason given was that they were concerned the two might not be able to work together smoothly, and the company could not take responsibility if any problems arose. Reporter. But Faye's company claimed they were never contacted about this project. That would be strange, wouldn't it? How can someone withdraw from a project they were never invited to? If they requested a withdrawal, it means they must have been invited in the first place. Faye, I wish you all the very best. Faye. As everyone just heard, I only found out everything at the same time as the public. I never once said I didn't want to join the project. I've always hoped to be part of FayeYoko. When the rumors spread that one of the couples had withdrawn from the project, I only prayed that it wasn't us. From what Faye shared, it's clear that even she herself, the person directly involved, had absolutely no knowledge of the decision to withdraw from FayeYoko. Everything was kept confidential and decided solely at 9star's highest level of management. After negotiations over Faye's new contract with the company fell through, Juan decided to remove Faye from the FayeYoko project. The official reason given to the production team was Faye and Yoko had severe personal conflicts and could no longer work together. There were even reports claiming that Juan attempted to replace Faye with another actress to pair with Yoko in FayeYoko, but the production team rejected the idea, insisting they wanted Faye. This proves that the separation of the pair wasn't FayeYoko's personal choice, but rather a strategic decision made by 9star. During the press conference, openly stated, "When I invested in 4 Elements, I wanted Faye to be part of the project, but her former company said they wanted to withdraw her, citing concerns that the two might not work together smoothly, and that the company wouldn't take responsibility if any issues arose." This statement once again confirms that Juan intentionally lied to the FayeYoko production team. She fabricated a narrative that Faye and Yoko had serious conflicts, to the point that if both continued filming together, the company could not be held responsible for any potential problems during production. Such a claim essentially implies that Faye and Yoko were unprofessional artists, whose personal disputes could jeopardize an entire film project. But everyone knows, a true professional, regardless of personal differences or discomfort, will always maintain absolute professionalism, fulfill their role with integrity, and never allow emotions to interfere with their work. Took made it very clear. How could someone withdraw from a project they were never invited to? A request to withdraw only makes sense if there was an official invitation in the first place. That line was a direct blow to Juan's earlier excuse when she claimed that, since no contract was signed, the company had the right to withdraw. In reality, Juan's reasoning was nothing more than a self-written script designed to justify her own poor decisions. Because of that decision, the 4E team was forced to quickly find another couple to replace FayeYoko in order to meet the shooting schedule. Once again, all of these complications originated from Juan's actions, the very person Faye had tried to protect through her silence as an act of final kindness. Every clarification Juan later offered was simply the aftermath of a carefully constructed chain of lies, and Faye ended up being the one who suffered the deepest wounds from it all. About the relationship. At the press conference on the afternoon of November 9th, Faye spoke for the first time about her relationship with Yoko Apazra, addressing several points raised by 9-star CEO Juan in her 12-point public statement. Faye shared, "Since we joined the same company, though I joined first, I can honestly say we were like Finome. The feelings I had for Noam were genuine. She was an adorable and important person to me. There was never a day that I felt we couldn't talk if something went wrong. Of course, sometimes we misunderstood each other or got a little upset, but those moments never affected our work, not even once." Faye said there was never a day when she felt they couldn't talk or resolve things together. Of course, there were times when we misunderstood each other or got a little upset, but it never affected our work. We always cooperated well and never encountered any issue that made it impossible to work together. However, what broke her heart, and what she still cannot find an answer to, was what happened in February 2025. She recalled, "Even now, I still don't understand. I'm still searching for an answer. Before Valentine's Day, we talked about where to have dinner, which restaurants were good, whether we should bring our dogs, and which ones allowed pets."
อันนี้เป็นเรื่องที่ฝ้ายค่อนข้างที่จะไม่เข้าใจแล้วก็ยังหาคำตอบอยู่คือเรื่องของเรื่องก่อนวันเดือนกุมภานะคะก่อนช่วงวันวาเลนไทน์เรามีการพูดคุยกันว่าเราจะไปกินข้าวกันที่ไหนดีเราจะไปร้านไหนดีเอาหมาไปด้วยไหมหรือร้านไหนพาหมาเข้าไปด้วยได้บ้างในช่วงวาเลนไทน์เราจะได้วางแผนในการที่จะไปวันนั้น
The plan was to go out on Valentine's Day, February 9th. I texted her again to ask if she had decided where she wanted to go or what she wanted to eat. But since that day, she hasn't read my line messages, and she never called back.
แต่ฝ้ายไม่เข้าใจอะว่าตั้งแต่วันนั้นนะคะวันที่9 กุมภาฝ้ายมีการทักถามมาอีกว่าคิดได้หรือยังว่าอยากไปที่ไหนอยากกินอะไรตั้งแต่วันนั้นนะคะจนถึงวันเนี้ยน้องไม่มีการอ่านไลน์ฝ้ายอีกเลยน้องยังไม่ได้อ่านไลน์ฝ้ายเลยไม่เคยเท็กซ์กลับมาไม่เคยโทรกลับมา
I honestly don't know what happened. Before that, we always updated each other about our daily lives, what we were doing, where we were. She'd be practicing dance, and I'd say I was eating something. We talked all the time. Until that day. That's when I realized something had changed, right before Valentine's Day.
ซึ่งฝ้ายก็ยังไม่เข้าใจว่าเกิดอะไรขึ้นเพราะว่าก่อนหน้านี้เรายังมีการอัปเดตชีวิตประจำวันให้กันดูอยู่เลยอะว่าแบบทำอะไรอยู่ไหนน้องไปซ้อมเต้นไปกินข้าวหรืออะไรเงี้ยก็มีการพูดคุยกันอยู่ตลอดจนวันนั้นล่ะค่ะที่ทำให้ฝ้ายรู้สึกว่าก่อนวาเลนไทน์มันเกิดอะไรขึ้นเพราะฝ้ายไม่รู้จริงๆพูดด้วยความสัตย์จริงว่าไม่รู้จริงๆว่าเกิดอะไรขึ้น
In fact, the first half of February 2025 marked the peak of the rumors surrounding the 4E project. On January 27th, 2025, Faye and Yoko had just returned to Bangkok after their sweet fan meeting in Taipei. On February 1st, the two appeared together in a live stream promoting the Thai Xiaoxiang brand. During the session, Faye proudly shared a private photo with Yoko taken during Christmas 2024, proving that their relationship was still perfectly fine at the time. Between February 2nd, 14, social media began buzzing with speculation that FayeYoko would join the FayeYoko project, fueled by hints such as sunflower and bubble emojis. On February 4th, Yoko attended the Yoko Reverse With Me event alone, while Faye stayed home and posted pictures playing with Sunny. Then, on February 5th, the FayeYoko production team suddenly announced that one couple had withdrawn from the project. By February 7th, 9star released a formal apology to fans over CEO Nanny's controversial remarks, and around the same time, Mr. Nawa confirmed that Faye had been removed from the project. On February 9th at exactly 1 p.m., Faye's close friend Kanthea posted on X, clarifying that Faye and Yoko have no problems. They're still looking for a restaurant for their Valentine's date. This aligns perfectly with what Faye shared during today's press conference, that the last message she sent to Yoko on February 9th was simply about their dinner plans, and everything started to change afterward. By 9 p.m. that evening, Yoko stopped reading or replying to any of Faye's messages. February 9th, a sunny day before the storm. From that moment, everything began to fall apart. Faye began this part of the press conference with a calm but firm tone. This topic has caused a lot of misunderstanding. Let me explain what really happened. She revealed that one day before the Thailand fan meeting, the company arranged a psychological consultation for her, Yoko, and CEO Wanwan. However, the meeting was far from casual. It felt more like a psychological evaluation than a genuine conversation. The atmosphere was heavy and uncomfortable. The question they were asked during that session was, Faye and Nong, can you imagine yourselves working separately if the pair were to be split? That was the question I was given, Faye explained. I replied, as an actress, my job is to act. If I need to play a rock, I'll be a rock. I can do it. After that, Faye said, the company asked her to meet the psychiatrist a second time, but she refused. Because the first session right before our fan meeting didn't make me feel good at all. I needed all my strength then. So many fans were waiting for us. I had to stay strong, but I didn't go back again because it really hurt me emotionally. Faye clarified that people had completely misunderstood her decision, thinking she wanted to split from Yoko or abandon their partnership. That was never my intention, she said firmly.
ไฟอยากแยกคู่เหรอไฟทิ้งน้องเหรอไฟไม่เคยคิดแบบนั้นเลยอะ
We only had one project together, and we even received an award as a duo. So why was the split blamed on me? Didn't the company know that? Why did the entire impact fall solely on me? That's something I really want to ask.
เพราะเราเพิ่งไปรับรางวัลคู่กันมาเองที่ไฟไม่เข้าใจจนถึงทุกวันนี้แล้วไฟก็อยากถามกลับว่าทางค่ายเนี่ยไม่ทราบจริงๆหรอคะเรื่องประเด็นการแยกคู่
Through her words, Faye made it clear that she was not the one who wanted to break the pair. Instead, the entire situation was orchestrated and manipulated in a way that left her bearing all the blame. Analysis. The psychiatrist meeting before the 9/14/2024 fan meeting. The turning point that split FayeYoko. Based on what Faye shared during the press conference, the fan meeting in Thailand, she referred to as the event held on September 14th, 2024, coinciding exactly with Q3 2024. The period one had previously claimed was when Faye and Yoko began having conflicts. This revelation led many to believe that the so-called psychological assessment, arranged by the company, was not a genuine counseling session, but rather a manipulative tactic designed to influence and control the two actresses. Before the fan meeting, Juan personally brought Faye and Yoko to meet a psychiatrist, where they were asked a strikingly direct question. From a professional standpoint, Faye's answer was entirely reasonable. She said that as an actress, no matter the situation, she would do her best to fulfill her role. However, that meeting became a deep psychological shock for her. At that time, both Faye and Yoko were doing perfectly fine, cheerful, cooperative, and free from any signs of conflict. They were actively preparing for their first fan meeting together, maintaining a stable mindset and positive energy. So, being suddenly told to meet a psychiatrist and asked to imagine a separation scenario must have felt like a heavy emotional blow. Anyone in Faye and Yoko's position would have felt uneasy and confused, especially since there was no clear reason for such a meeting in the first place. One, a psychologist, or a master of emotional manipulation. From Faye's account, it appears that one used her own background in psychology to subtly manipulate both actresses. By acting as the facilitator during the session, Juan seemed to take control of the emotional atmosphere, steering Faye and Yoko's thoughts toward a predetermined direction. With her psychological expertise, Juan knew exactly how to frame questions, plant doubts, and create emotional instability to serve her own agenda. Bringing in an external psychiatrist only made the entire setup appear more legitimate, a clever move that helped disguise manipulation as professional guidance. To this day, no one knows what Yoko said during that session. But if even Faye, a seasoned professional with years of experience, admitted to being emotionally shaken, one can only imagine how much deeper the impact must have been on Yoko, a sensitive newcomer who had always been quiet, cautious, and easily frightened by tension. It's entirely possible that Yoko was deeply influenced by that meeting, perhaps in ways she herself never realized. The second meeting and the real trap. After the first session, Juan suggested that Faye and Yoko meet the psychiatrist again. Faye refused. She had already been deeply hurt and emotionally shaken by the first meeting. As for Yoko, no one knows whether she went or not. But if she did, it's highly likely that she unknowingly walked straight into the plan one had carefully orchestrated, a plan that would later lead to the devastating consequences we are all witnessing today. They only wanted to work together. From everything Faye shared, it's clear that neither she nor Yoko ever wanted to be separated. They had only completed one project together, had just received the Couple of the Year award, and were genuinely excited about the prospect of working on their next project, to grow further, both professionally and personally. Faye emphasized that their bond was built on genuine respect and affection, not just as colleagues, but as two people who deeply cared for each other. Their only wish was simple, to continue working side by side, supporting each other's journey forward.
เลยในความสัมพันธ์เราเป็นพี่น้องที่ดีต่อกันนะคะเป็นพาร์ทเนอร์ที่ดีต่อกันแล้วก็ฝ้ายก็สามารถพูดได้เลยว่าความรู้สึกที่มีให้กันมันก็คือเรื่องจริงก็คอยให้กำลังใจอยู่ข้างๆกันมาตลอดเป็นคนสำคัญของฝ้ายมันก็เป็นปกติของคนทำงานด้วยกันอ่ะมันอาจจะมีน้อยใจกันบ้างมีเข้าใจกันผิดไปบ้างแต่ว่าปัญหาเหล่านั้นไม่เคยมีในการทำงานของพวกเราเลย
It has now become apparent that the conflict did not stem from any personal issue between Faye and Yoko instead. It was the result of deliberate intervention from the company, which sought to manipulate the situation behind the scenes. The psychiatrist meeting before the September 14th, 2024 fan meeting marked the true turning point, the moment when the company quietly began breaking the pair apart under the pretense of professional guidance. About contract termination. Why did I leave the company? That's the biggest question everyone has been asking. It all began when the company called me in and asked me to switch from my old contract to a new one. They said, "Please read and sign it today." I told them that contracts are sensitive and important matters, and I needed time to read it carefully. Later, I reviewed it, made some edits, and sent it back. I said honestly, "To me, the old contract is fairer." They replied, "All right, then we'll keep the old one." But from that moment on, there was never any discussion about future plans, no direction, no roadmap. Everything felt dark and uncertain to me, and the only path I could see was to walk forward on my own. I asked several times about my career direction, but I never received an answer. That's why I decided to terminate my contract. This career is my life, but if there's no future, there can be no happiness. Waking up every day without a goal is not living. I never intended to leave anyone behind, nor had I planned this departure. But after I left, I was completely broken. Even so, I received so much encouragement from people inside and outside the industry, and especially from my fans. That strength helped me recover. In so many misunderstandings, and today, I want to speak for myself. I never wanted to hurt anyone. Even on the day I left, I still carry good feelings. That person once told me, if one day you do well, I'll be happy for you. So we parted on peaceful terms, and I choose to remember only the good things. We were like Faye, known in the entertainment industry. I never wished harm upon anyone. I will keep focusing on my work and create meaningful projects for my fans. They are my only motivation. Without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. Finally, I want to thank all the fans and senior colleagues who have always supported me and given me opportunities. From now on, if I see or receive any message that defames me, damages my reputation, or affects my work, I will take full legal action with no compromise. Thank you very much for listening. The new contract and psychological manipulation. The company presented Faye with a new contract and demanded that she read and sign it on the same day, deliberately cutting off the time needed for careful review. It's highly likely that the new contract contained hidden traps, clauses designed to separate Faye and Yoko, forcing Faye to follow the company's new direction, pairing her with a newbie, and using Faye's popularity and influence to promote the newcomer. Instead of rushing to sign, Faye wisely chose to read it thoroughly, make revisions, and send it back. Why was the old contract more favorable to Faye? At the beginning, 9-Star had struggled to find a suitable actress for the role of Kun-Nung, so they specifically invited Faye to join the company. It's believed that her original contract included a clause granting her a share of profits from production or business projects. As 9-Star shifted its strategy, focusing on using established artists to boost new faces, they no longer wanted Faye to keep receiving revenue shares from future projects. This made the new contract disadvantageous for her, so she chose not to sign. Path 2. Freezing her career for refusal to sign. Once Faye refused to sign, the company effectively halted her career development. No future plans, no responses, no opportunities. The most obvious sign being her removal from the 4E project. Their goal was to keep her bound by the old contract but without any new work until it expired naturally, essentially, to freeze her career, a pre-planned sequence of moves. As early as September, the company had already arranged for Faye and Yoko to meet a psychiatrist, allegedly to evaluate the possibility of splitting the pair. If both agreed, everything would proceed as normal. If they didn't, the company would move to Phase 2, forcing them to sign a new, restrictive contract that left no room for resistance. Faye was the one who refused, and was immediately sidelined. Her removal from 4E became the clearest proof of this plan in action. Yoko may have fallen into the new contract trap. It's very possible that one met with each of them separately to discuss the contract. If Faye was pressured to sign within the day, Yoko likely faced the same treatment. Yoko, being introverted and emotionally affected after the psychiatric session, might not have read the new terms carefully, and thus became completely bound by it. The new contract might have offered attractive short-term benefits, such as a clear career roadmap or promotion plans, but hidden beneath those promises was the true cost, becoming a pawn to promote a newcomer and being forcibly separated from Faye.